For every beekeeper out there, the harvest is everything. It's what all that hard work comes down to. But getting that amazing honey from the comb into the jar, well, there's one huge challenge: making sure it's actually going to last. So today, we're going to break down how to protect your harvest by mastering honey moisture control.
It's a pretty wild question, right? You hear these incredible stories about honey found in ancient tombs, and it's still perfectly good. And yet, a beekeeper's fresh harvest can sometimes go bad and start fermenting in just a few months. So, what's the secret? What's that one variable that changes everything?
And here it is. This is the single most important number you need to know for the quality, the stability, and frankly, the value of your honey. Less than 17% moisture. That is the goal. It's the magic number that separates a premium, shelf-stable product from, well, a potential disaster in a jar.
Okay, so let's really dive into the problem itself. When we say wet honey, we're talking about anything with a moisture content over that 17% line. Now, it might not sound like a huge difference, but believe me, those few extra percentage points of water can ruin everything.
The difference is, well, it's night and day. Honey with high moisture is thin, it's runny, and it's basically a perfect home for yeast. And that yeast leads to fermentation, which tanks its market value. On the other hand, ideal honey, that's thick, stable, and it's going to fetch a much better price. And the only thing separating the two? Just a little bit of water.
All right, enough about the problem. Let's get to the solutions. The good news is there's some really proven methods that any beekeeper can use to get their honey's moisture content down where it needs to be. We're going to cover the whole range, from really simple DIY setups to some more advanced gear.
Probably the most common method, and one almost anyone can do, is the warm room. It's simple. You take your honey supers, put them in a small, warm, dry room, and then you get some fans going to create constant airflow. The absolute key here is making sure that moving air is passing directly over and through the open cells of the honeycomb. A lot of the time, about 24 hours is all you'll need.
So why does this work so well? Well, because you're basically just creating a bigger, man-made version of what happens inside the hive. The bees themselves control moisture by fanning their wings like crazy at the entrance, creating a draft that evaporates water from the nectar. So with your fans in a warm room, you're just finishing the job that the bees already started. It's brilliant.
Now, temperature is a really big deal for getting this done efficiently. The sweet spot you're aiming for is somewhere between 25 and 35 degrees Celsius. That's about 77 to 95 Fahrenheit. That warmth makes the honey a lot less thick, so the moisture can evaporate way more easily once the fans get going.
Of course, if you're running a larger, maybe commercial-scale operation, you can definitely take things up a notch. There are specialized dehumidifying machines out there built for exactly this. They create this perfectly controlled environment, managing both the temperature and the humidity with total precision, so you can pull moisture out of a huge number of supers all at once.
So, what's the science behind all this? It actually comes down to this one really powerful property of honey called hygroscopy, and it's a pretty simple idea. Honey will naturally try to match its moisture content with the air around it. So if the air is dry, the honey releases its moisture. If the air is humid, it'll actually soak moisture up. We're just using this natural tendency to our advantage. Okay, so you've set up your warm room, the fans are humming along, but how do you actually know when you're done? How can you be positive you've hit that magic number of less than 17%? You can't just guess. As they say, you can't manage what you don't measure.
And that brings us to a really crucial piece of equipment. I've heard it called a simple and essential device that every beekeeper should own, and that is 100% true. This isn't some complicated lab instrument. It's a tool that's easy to get and is absolutely vital for making sure your honey is top quality.
That tool is the honey refractometer. Its job is super simple. You put just a single drop of honey on it, you look through the eyepiece, and bam, it gives you a precise, instant reading of the water percentage. This is how you confirm you've succeeded. This is how you know without any doubt that your honey is ready to go.
But what if you just can't get that moisture level down? Maybe the weather was just too humid or you don't have the right setup. Does that mean the whole harvest is a wash? No way, not at all. You've got a contingency plan.
The key here is to pivot. Instead of trying to sell a product that might go bad, you just turn it into something new and stable. You could market it as honey with nuts, or you could process it into a delicious, creamy, crystallized honey, or even sell it with chunks of honeycomb right in the jar. These methods stabilize everything and turn a potential problem into a really cool, unique product.
So let's bring this all home. At the end of the day, managing moisture is really all about one thing: ensuring the quality of your product. It is the final, absolutely critical step that stands between you and a successful, valuable, and, most importantly, delicious harvest.
And remember, this is not just a little tip or a best practice. It is a fundamental part of the whole process. Getting your honey dry protects all the incredible work you and your bees have put in all season long. And it protects your reputation as a beekeeper who produces amazing, high-quality honey.
So, now you've got the science, you've got the methods, you know about the tools. The only question left is the one that really matters for your hives and your honey. How are you going to put all this into practice to protect your harvest this season?